Can't think why, but we decided to stay another day. In the previous video, you will have heard that we did a ride out with Kerry to Mount Rainier, up to Paradise and back. So we've already put that in. So that's that bit there, up to Paradise and all the way back.
Sorry, I've got to show you on the last one.
So anyway, when we left Puyallup, we ended up coming back and came down through here, did this bit all the way through to Yelm, down the 507, across to here, up through Rochester, I might add, another Kent town.
We did feel like we were back home.
We did really, and then we picked up this main road here,
Main road,
and went all the way into Aberdeen. So actually in the space of a day we'd gone from Kent to Aberdeen.
to Aberdeen.
And then we took this small coastal road all the way down through here and spent the night there. Twin Harbours State Park.
That's it.
So the next day we left the park and we took this little road down along the coast all the way around here and picked up this road. It looks like a main road. It is a main road, but boy, the road was nice.
We have a nice main road.
It was a rather nice main road. In fact, it actually got even nicer just here. All the way into Long Beach, and we did take a look at the beach and did various bits and pieces there. We also did a little loop that took us round Cape Disappointment.
Oh yeah, Cape Disappointment, that was good.
It was a nice little loop, that was. Then we came back onto the main road here, came down to the Astoria Bridge.
Astoria Megla Bridge, it's called.
Oh, okay, Astoria Megla.
Double barreled.
Across there, while we were going over there, we thought, oh, that bridge looks nice. We went across that one as well.
We like bridges, don't we?
Yeah, we just like bridges. And there was lots of sea mist and stuff going on here, so it was all quite atmospheric. And we did a U-turn, came back across the bridges again, and this was where our route was to take us, up through here. But we very soon realised that the road was actually closed. There was nothing coming down.
There were signs up, but we wondered how closed, but we didn't want to risk it.
But there was nothing coming down. So we looked, and the diversion took us all the way back up, all the way around here, back up to this junction, and so then we carried on down through here. And by this stage, we were happy to camp anywhere. Then we found a private campground at Deep River.
We were struggling to find campsites around there, weren't we?
We were, but I have to say it was not the best of campgrounds, but it was a place for the night.
Just for the night.
So the next morning we left the Deep River campground, carried on all the way along here, followed this red route. He says you can't, oops, I've lost the line.
Didn't do that, did we?
No, problems of seeing through my own hand. All the way down through here. Took this little road up through here, which was very pleasant. Cut across the interstate and into the St. Helens Mount St. Helens National Park. We did stop at the visitor centre there.
Had a sandwich.
Had a sandwich and a chat with a few people, which is nice. And then we carried on all the way up through here. This was astonishing. The history and stuff was great, but the road was brilliant. All the way up through here. Got to about here. The road further on was closed due to previous road damage and everything else that still wasn't repaired. So we backtracked, we found a campsite here which was closed, but then there was another one just about here which was open, so we spent the night there. Right, so after that campsite we retraced our steps all the way back through to here, and we took this small little black road.
Just wanted to desperately avoid the big road, didn't we?
We wanted to, and we did a few...
Did quite well with it.
Little bits and pieces.
Some interesting little bits on that.
There were. But we had no choice in the end to jump on the interstate and some of these bits. I think there was another bit there that came off. Anyway.
And meandered down.
Then we ended up going across into Oregon. And we got down to just north of Gresham.
The weather was deteriorating by now, wasn't it?
It was. And then we had to jump on the interstate. The weather was getting pretty bad, so we just wanted to travel. This was nasty in the rain.
Horrible.
And then we got to here, and there's a tiny little toll bridge, an old toll bridge that goes across the river back into Washington, and then we were able to come up to Carson
Hot Springs. So we'd had a lovely time in Puyallup, hadn't we?
Yes.
Very sad to leave there. It was a yes, mixed emotions. Really sad to leave, but also
We need to get on the
excited
road.
to get on with the journey again. It was a sad morning, but
Get away from the snow.
yeah, you just know.
Snow was chasing us.
It was chasing us. So we went through Aberdeen, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Aberdeen, not quite the Aberdeen that I recall,
No.
but nice bridge. The sign was.
Is that it? Is that all you can say about Aberdeen?
Yeah,
Nice bridge.
pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, it's a nice bridge.
And then we rode.
Yeah, then we took southwest down towards the Pacific and found a campsite just south of Westport.
Twin Harbours State Park.
Twin Harbour State Park. Okay.
And I had a little swim in the Pacific.
We did. Bloody idiot.
That's cold. The Pacific Ocean is cold. So the next day, our intention was to ride up Long Beach, because it just looked quite interesting.
Yep. So we decided to ride up Long Beach, and it was nice.
Very resorty at the top.
It was very long.
But yeah, I can see why. It's a lovely area, nice beaches. Yeah.
It's got a long beach.
Got Long Beach, has it?
Yeah. We were tempted to drive on it, but actually the sand was quite soft
Oh yeah.
from the road onto the beach. So actually, you know
Disaster
what?
waiting to happen.
We're fully loaded in my view. Nah, we'll give that a miss.
That would have been a disaster. We did the beach riding in Ireland. We've done that.
Yeah. There'll be other opportunities.
And from there, we'd found on the map. We thought that looks a really interesting bridge. It was the Astoria Megla Bridge.
Yes, which was across the border between Washington and
Oregon. So shortly after you start on the bridge, you actually cross into Oregon.
So it looked like an interesting bridge, and it was a long expanse across the water, so that's what we thought we'd do.
Yeah.
So we crossed the bridge. It was a long bridge. It was an interesting bridge.
Yeah, it was a bridge, and then the structure of the bridge, the metal, whatever they are, disappeared, and it was just like a roadway, wasn't it? And it went on for ages and ages. But while we're going across that, we kind of look to our right. But there's another bridge. Should we go and do that one? We like bridges.
And also the sea mist as well in the distance was looking quite interesting. As it turns out, actually, after we'd done the bridge and we were coming back, we could see that the sea mist was rolling in.
Yes.
So we were lucky to get across the bridge.
That was New Young Bay Bridge.
And
as soon as we got onto it, we could see, I think you see pointing with your finger, it was a load of seals again lying all across the, you can't really see them on the camera, they're lying across the structures there and sunbathing. So we went across New Young Bay Bridge, turned around
and came back
over the pair of them.
We came back over the pair of them and then turned right. Saw all these signs saying road closed, which was a real... So we pulled over to have a look at the maps, consult the maps and see what was happening. Oh, what a place for us to stop. Avalanche area. Yeah, it would seem that the road that we want, just back the way we came. Really is, back past Long Beach, all the way up past Long Island, then turn right. The diversion was something like 60 miles, I'm guessing. It was about 60 mile diversion.
When you looked at the map, I thought, and you said, oh, we've got to go back round towards Long Island. And I thought,
retrace our steps pretty much all of the day.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it did take up a lot of the day.
But that didn't matter because it was a nice road. Nice twisty road.
Yeah, it was a nice road, lovely. And then it started getting quite gloomy, not rainy as such, but just darkish and gloomy.
Just kind of meh.
So we found a campsite,
which was kind of meh.
To go with the meh weather. A campsite, Deep River Camp near Oneida or something like that. It was a privately owned camp. It wasn't a state one, and looked nice enough when we drove in, and it was nice enough. We had a nice patch of grass. That was a novelty. So that was quite nice. We actually managed to camp on grass. It was pretty empty, but it was something like $30, and all we got for that was a portaloo, what we call in the UK a portaloo. I think they call them potties over here, porta potties.
Porta potty.
And I hate those. I'd rather have a pit toilet. They're so less smelly. As soon as you stick chemicals on this stuff, it just reeks. It was clean enough in there, to be fair, but I just don't like portaloo. And you didn't get a shower. You had to pay something like $5 for use of the shower, which was a lean-to. It wasn't even warm in there.
No, so we didn't bother.
No, it was a bit of a rip-off. But anyway, somewhere for us to stay, so that's part of the journey, isn't it? And then the next day, we were quite excited about the next day.
Where were we going?
You were.
Was it?
Mount St Helens.
Ah, yes. Mount St Helens. See, my memory, shocking. That's why we do these videos and the blogs, so that actually next week I can watch it again and yes, that's what we did.
And that brings back other memories for us. So sometimes the footage is a bit long, but I don't want to cut certain things out because I want to be able to look back on them in the future. But Mount St Helens was your special thing, wasn't it?
Mount St Helens was my thing, yes. It was one of my first memories when growing up of something that had happened on the international stage or outside of the UK.
I was too young.
And
just thought I'd put that in.
And it was environmental. So it was the Mount St Helens volcano going off. Now on the way to Mount St Helens we pulled into a supermarket to get some food, and typically I stayed with the bikes while Izzy went in to do the shopping. Apparently I can't shop very well, so I get left with the bikes.
To be fair, the one time I let you do it you spent less than me, so I was quite impressed with that. Anyway, come on.
And the bikes attracted attention as normal. This guy came over and started talking. I said why we were in the area, Mount St Helens, and my memory of it. And yes, he was telling me that his parents and grandparents lived through it, still live in the area, but lived through the eruption and the subsequent clean-up and the effects and everything else on the environment thereafter. No, they didn't lose the house. They didn't lose the house, but they knew people that had. But it wasn't just the house that was the issue.
No.
So Mount St Helens, if anyone doesn't know, it's a volcano that erupted but blew out the side of the volcano rather than out the top, and the resulting debris, then the lava flow and the rocks and stuff like that took out a huge area around the volcano. So yeah, we were able to ride up through there and see how it had changed. All the bridges that needed to be rebuilt. One fascinating bit I liked was that the forestry people that owned the trees at the time when it blew up, when the eruption happened, they were very quick to get in there and salvage whatever trees they could, because obviously there's value to them. They were then equally quick to get back in and start replanting the forests. The government rather quickly decided to make Mount St Helens a national park, and they actually created a line on a map that said one side of the line, yes, you can replant and continue with your commercial forestry. The other side of the line, you leave it for nature to do, and nature will recover in its own time at its own rate. And even now, after all these years afterwards, we're talking 40 odd years afterwards, 40 plus years,
45 I think,
you can still see that line.
Yes.
You physically see the line between the commercially planted trees and where nature is recovering. To me, it was extra special because I was actually physically there in something that I'd been watching on the TV.
But it was fascinating because you could see still, like you said, 45 years later, whatever it is, you could still see where the lava had come down from the volcano through the landscape. You could still see it, although it all dried up and it's all gone, you could still see its line.
Yeah, you could.
It was absolutely incredible.
And also you could see where the river, for the meltwater from the snow during the winter, etc., had actually been cutting its way through the debris outflow from the volcano. And I think there's one photo on here where you can actually see the river cutting through the debris flow.
And came down off the mountain, and time was getting on. We said, well, there's a couple we stopped at the first campsite, closed. The gate was open and we rode in. She said, oh no, we've closed, he's just working on the gate, that's why it's open. So, oh blimey, hope the next one isn't closed. But the next one was open, Kidd Valley Campground.
And it was most of the people that were there were in trailers, and they were actually construction workers who were working on the road up to the observatory at Mount St Helens was still closed because of some landslides, etc. So there was still a lot of construction work going on. So construction workers were living in RVs and trailers on this particular campsite. We were the only
holiday makers.
Yeah, we were the only people passing through. But it was a really nice site.
I think it was something like $15.
Yep.
Flushing toilets, hot showers. Showers were really good actually. Hot showers. We didn't have any wood for a fire, So it was a little bit chilly that night, but we did break out the first night we played on this trip. Was the first night we've played crib.
Yes.
We brought a little crib board with us and a pack of cards. So
and typically I teach Izzy how to play crib, and I think she's a bit of
on that night.
Yes, exactly. So I think she's a bit of a ringer, really.
I did play it in past life, but I couldn't remember.
I'm helping her by telling her the rules, and then she goes and beats me. It's just not on.
The next day, the weather wasn't quite so nice. It got wet.
Yes, it did.
It got gloomy, it got damp, it rained on us. We haven't had a lot of rain, to be fair, but that was the day we did have rain. And very early on, we decided, well, I think we'll just not camp tonight.
Well, there was still also an element of my back still playing up. My back is still bad, and you were struggling with your back. The cold weather wasn't helping. It wasn't helping our moods. It wasn't helping our backs. So we decided, obviously having experienced the magical properties of Liard Hot Springs on my back, we thought, oh, there's a spring place down here, Carson Hot Springs.
That'll do. Because we booked last minute. We don't feel we are spending money on accommodation, but it's not all like luck. It is luck. Some of it's really nice accommodation, but we book last minute and we get cracking deals, and it really doesn't cost. It does cost money, a lot more than a campsite, but it doesn't cost a bomb, does it?
No.
It's been a very wet day, hasn't it, dear?
Well, the rays of sunshine have been a bit damp. Yes.
I'll still wearing his sunglasses there because he's lost his glasses. Anyway.
Now I've lost them again.
Yeah, we had a great day yesterday. Lovely hot sunshine, riding up Mount St Helens, seeing the volcano. Brilliant, wasn't it?
It was absolutely fantastic.
Today's just been a wet, miserable, soggy blob of a day.
Yes.
So we decided by
clean the lens off.
Yes, we decided by about 11:30 this day isn't happening. So we booked ourselves a little room because we do that. And
what we've got for dinner tonight is just a sandwich.
Yeah, it's a massive room actually. Loads of room, but more importantly, just down there in that brown building, there are
hot springs!
Hot baths, yes, mineral hot baths.
Mineral hot springs around here. So
my back is absolutely killing me. Yeah. It's so sore.
And we've got bags to
really struggling. Yours is as well. So
bags to carry up to a second floor.
The camping lark is taking itself out on us really, but
you're doing a review before I do this and make a mess of everything.
I showed them the room.
That's all right.
Now you've made a mess already, look. I did show them the room. I haven't shown them the bathroom. What have we got in the bathroom then? We've got robes to wear down to the pools. What have we got in here? Toilet, basin, and a shower. That's suitable.
You're off for a bath.
Yeah, we've got the hot springs. We hardly need to have a bath, do we? Right, so we're going to now lug all our bags up like 2 flights of stairs to the very end of the corridor. Right, we shall see you later. Going to get unloaded. The next day we were going to stay there 2 nights, weren't we? We booked for 2 nights.
Yep.
So that next day we went for a walk into town in the pouring rain, got soaked.
Someone was moaning about having to walk too far in the rain.
Oh, I was, because my back was killing me.
Your back was
and we walked just bad enough walking to town from where we were, and then we walked all the way up because we wanted to try this restaurant, and all it was a lean-to. We were sitting outside, and I said, I'm not sitting outside.
No. So we came back to the first coffee shop we passed, and we walked in, and it was superb.
Brilliant.
Lovely
bowl of soup.
What we couldn't believe was actually the children in there. There were more children than adults. But the children were so well behaved.
The little 4-year-old
really
wiping
respectful.
down the tables.
Yep.
And then a bit wet, so she just picked her dress up and started wiping it with the dress to dry it. The lady came and asked, do you want a towel? I gave her a towel. So it's so sweet. But they just all got on with things, little chores and stuff, and it was great. It was really nice. And that's meeting local people. It was fantastic. But Halloween, this is dating the video, but Halloween.
All those pumpkins.
Yeah, they do it with style over here. The next day, I think we might have stayed on 1 or 2 more days, or did we go for 1 night and then we booked the next?
I think we went
for 1 night. We woke up and it was raining, so we booked another night. Went for our walk around the town, had our soup, and then the next morning it was still raining. So we went back and booked another night.
think why, but we decided to stay another day. But in the meantime, we were making great friends with the people in reception in the evening, because we were going down there to have a cup of tea and a coffee.
We sat in reception. There's some armchairs and things.
Yeah, it was just a different place to sit, and we got chatting to the reception. And in the old building, now the old building used to be the original hotel, but it's kind of falling down. It's not really in a fit state above the ground floor. They still use the ground floor reception, but it used to be a restaurant. But in the back there was a piano.
We found a piano.
And the guy on reception said, "Oh, you go through, use the piano, we'd love to."
So I played a little bit and I practiced when I come to work.
So you started playing some music. Oh, he said, "Do you think you could play my best piece of music?" So he just gave you this piece of music on his phone.
Oh, and I hadn't heard of it.
And started playing it.
I didn't know what it was, so I started playing it and I said, "Is that right? Is it the right speed?" He said, "Oh, that sounds brilliant."
So if anyone can work out what the music is,
I can't remember.
Drop a comment down below.
No one would be able to because it's so bad. The piano was a real old honky-tonk piano.
I think you'll be surprised, but drop a comment down below if you recognise the music.
There's only a little snippet. You only recorded a little bit of it, but... And it's a lovely old building. We said, "Oh, why is this? It's falling down. The upstairs floor is falling down." That was bedrooms. Downstairs, the big area where it was obviously a restaurant and probably a kind of small ballroom back in the day, things like that. It was. I love old buildings like that. It was really nice. All the old pictures of the people that used to own it and things. But they are planning to restore it.
They're planning to restore.
Maybe not upstairs.
They're planning to maintain the front facade and restore the ground floor. The floors above it will probably have to be ripped out and completely replaced. Hopefully they will do it sympathetically, but I don't think there'll be any kind of preservation order on what they do with those floors. But the front facade is protected, and they want to maintain the character, because the character is Carson's Hot Springs.
But yes, we had a lovely few days and then it was time to leave. Budget really wouldn't allow for any more, would it?
No.
We'd overspent really by the time we'd been there 2 or 3 days. So
it was time to leave. So on that morning it was still a bit wet. It wasn't as wet.
It wasn't raining, but we left.
But we thought, we've got to press on. We've got to move on. We've got to get out of the mountains to where it's drier.
South we go.
Right. So you're twirling out.
Well, the table up against my knees.
Okay, well, if not, you just go. Go on, just go. Just get out of shot. Yeah, but the problem is she comes back.
I need to turn the camera off.